Hello and welcome to the latest and greatest edition of the NFL Experts podcast. And it is our first one of our weekly routine, I guess you could say. And today we're going over power rankings, which will be on every Tuesday. Today is Louis' turn. Next week will be me, and so on. So we'll see how we do today. So first, let's go with Louis' power ranking. So let's start us off with number 32. You have the Oakland Raiders.
Yeah, I have the Oakland Raiders at 32, and it's not just based on the quarterback position, even though Terrell Pryor is being named the starter, which is the better option to me. It's because of lack of depth at the positions. Also, I mean, they're probably the weakest at every position, starting-wise. They lost so many defensive linemen. Receiving-wise, I mean, Denarius Moore, they lost Darius Hayward-Bay, so they're very weak there. Darren McFadden, if he can stay healthy, that's their strong position. But even the offensive line is very weak, and I expect other than the secondary, all the positions to struggle, and I think that this team is going to be battling in the Teddy Bridgewater sweepstakes. I think they're at 32 right now.
Number 31, you have the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Yeah, the Jaguars are very low, but the reason I had to have them ahead of the Raiders is because of their receiving core and their explosiveness on offense. With Maurice Jones-Drew, one of the best running backs in the league still, if he's healthy, I think that's obviously you can rely on the run game, but as well as you have some really good receivers. When Justin Blackman comes back from suspension, Cecil Shorts this week, I mean, they have a tough game, but I think really it's all about the quarterback play, and if Chad Henne or Blaine Gabbert can play up to a high level this week, I think they could actually pull out a win, but just it all depends on really based on the quarterback play, which is why I have them so low, because they have probably the worst quarterback combination in the NFL.
All right, number 30, you have the New York Jets.
Yeah, the Jets, I mean, everyone knows they're probably the biggest media team out of everybody. Geno Smith will be starting week 1. I mean, they're against the Buccaneers, a very tough team. The Jets are in a really tough position. I think their running backs with Chris Ivory and Bilal Powell aren't really that spectacular, really. Their defense is their strong point, but they're not going to be able to rely on that as much with all these high-powered offenses. Tampa Bay is a really strong team with Vincent Jackson, Mike Williams at receiver, Doug Martin at running back, and Freeman. It's going to be tough for them to keep up with teams like them this season. And on the offensive side of the football, if Geno Smith is playing, with probably the worst receiving core in the NFL, personally, I believe.
Yeah, and I believe that, if I'm not mistaken, Sanchez won't be ready to play.
No, he will not.
So, yeah, Geno. Number 29, you have the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, the Bills are actually looking good, but the reason I have them so low is because of all the injuries, and really their secondary is an absolute mess right now. Otis McKelvin's their number 1 corner, as well as, I mean, Ron Brooks and Justin Rogers are going to be playing, getting their time. Jerry Spurd is hurt as well. I'm not sure if he's going to be playing against the Patriots. So with that and Aaron Williams and Denora Searcy's young safeties, their secondary is really going to struggle, and they're going up week 1 against an explosive offensive with Tom Brady, obviously, and Danny Amendola, wide receiver. Plus, I mean, they're gonna if they can take out the run against Ridley and Vereen, I think that they might be all right. But with a young quarterback in EJ Manuel, brand new position receivers with Goodwin and Robert Woods, as well as obviously Stevie Johnson's still there, the veteran. It's really going to be tough for them to, I mean, keep up if this defense cannot keep points off the board.
All right, yeah. Number 28, you have the Tennessee Titans.
Yeah, the Titans are actually an interesting team with Jake Locker and Chris Johnson, a very good combo at quarterback, running back. To me, it's interesting to see how it's going to work with Locker always being injured. So I'm not sure exactly really how it's going to work out for them, but they're deep because of all the new pieces on defense. They have a great new offensive line, though, Chance Warmack and Andy Levitri. They might be able to start stealing some wins early if they can, but they're going to have to keep up scoring-wise. So it's going to be tough to see what they do. Also at the receiving position, they got a couple new pieces. Well, Justin Hunter, and then obviously Kenny Britt, if he can stay healthy, is a very big, impactful player, but I don't think they're ready to compete yet. And they got some tough games in the beginning of the year, so I'll have them at 28 right about now.
27, you have the Cleveland Browns. Seems a little high to me, but explain.
Cleveland Browns are my surprise team this year. I think they're actually going to shock some people. And yeah, it could be a little bit high for week 1, but I honestly would not be surprised if they come out and win some games early. For week 1, I mean, they don't really have that hard of a matchup. I think with Trent Richardson and running back, if you can rely on that, I mean, they're home against the Miami Dolphins, so really they might be able to steal a win there. And they're my surprise team this year. I think their defense looks very good so far. and their offense looks very explosive with Brandon Weeden, who has really been impressing me so far in the offseason. But again, we got to see what happens during the regular season.
Ooh, Brandon Weeden. 26, the San Diego Chargers.
The San Diego Chargers, and to me, this almost might be too high for them. I am not a big fan of them at all. Philip Rivers has really digressed the past 2 seasons. They faced the Houston Texans on Monday Night Football, one of the best teams in the NFL. I think they're going to have a really tough time there. They're in a really loaded division, obviously besides the Oakland Raiders. So behind the Kansas City Chiefs and the Denver Broncos, it's going to be tough with them. Their receiving core really took some hits with Danario Alexander hurt, as well as Robert Meacham now gone. So, I mean, I'm not sure exactly what their defense is going to do either. They got some new pieces with Blake Freeney, but, I mean, that's their bright spot with Manti Te'o at linebacker, of course. They are 26, and I mean, it's going to be tough for them this season.
Number 25, you have the Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah, the Cardinals with Carson Palmer. I mean, that's going to be the huge spot, and they're going to be able to compete with teams this year against the Rams division matchup. Going to have to get a big win, so I have them at 25.
All right. Lots to say about that. Number 24, you have the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah, the Chiefs are an interesting team. Bringing Alex Smith in with Andy Reid as their new head coach, this team is ready to win now. They have so many. I mean, for a 2-14 team, I've never seen a team with so many great players on defense. Middle linebacker Derek Johnson, pass rushers Tom Ali and Justin Houston, secondary Eric Berry, Brandon Flowers, Sean Smith. They got from the Dolphins. They take a week 1 against the Jaguars. So that should be a win to me. I think that they'll get an easy one there to ease it. Alex Smith into it. Jamal Charles obviously going to get the rock. I think that they're going to be a very good team this year to compete for a playoff spot.
All right, number 23, I believe we're at. You have the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah, the Eagles, obviously my team, I've expressed that before, are in a huge game Monday night against the Washington Redskins. They have the pieces on offense. It's all about turnovers. Really, it's going to come down to the Eagles in a lot of the games because of how close they'll be is who makes the least amount of mistakes will get the win. The Eagles have not been able to do that the past couple of years. If they can keep down his turnovers and the defense can actually stop somebody secondary-wise, this team is definitely going to be able to compete for the NFC East. If it starts off with RG3 Monday night, take them out. I mean, it's a huge game for both Eagles and then, of course, the Redskins.
Number 22, you have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Buccaneers with Josh Freeman. It's probably his last year. It's a make-or-break year. Prove it for him. Doug Martin, they're going to have to run a lot. They're home. They're away against the Jets in Week 1. I think that's going to be a win. Drew Brees is going to be looking to prove something. With that new revamped secondary, they're going to be really good defensively this year with Mark Barron, Deshaun Goldson at safeties. And then I like young corner Jonathan Banks out of Mississippi State, and as well as obviously one of the best players in the NFL, Darrelle Revis. So I have them at 22, but they're in a loaded division. That's why I have them as the last team in that division.
They really turned around that secondary.
Oh, exactly. I mean, they were one of the worst last year. Now, to me, they're one of the best, arguably.
All right, 21, you had the Detroit Lions.
A team that last year really did not exceed expectations. 4-12, just a terrible season. Matt Stafford is going to be another year. I mean, I don't think there's any way Calvin Johnson's only scoring 5 touchdowns this year. Reggie Bush, though, is going to be the difference maker this year. That's really going to take that offense to another level, as well as I think Ezekiel Ansah is really going to make a big impact. But the guy that not a lot of people think about is Darius Slay. He's going to have a huge. Let's see what he can do against a veteran guy like Greg Jennings Week 1. It's in Detroit, so maybe they can start off a big division win against a team that made the playoffs last year. I think that they're going to actually be definitely contend for a playoff spot this year, and maybe even make it. I'm not exactly sure with how stacked the NFC is.
All right, number 20, you have the Carolina Panthers.
Panthers with Cam Newton. I mean, they've had high expectations the past 2 years. Haven't gotten to the playoffs yet. I'm hoping that they can do it this year with Steve Smith at receiver. But one of the big pieces that they just got was Quentin Michael, the new safety. They really needed some new pieces on that secondary with Chris Gamble leaving. Depends, though. They got to get the division wins, and they got to finish off the close games, which they really couldn't do last year. So I have them at 20.
All right. 19 now. We have the St. Louis Rams. Explain.
I really, really like the Rams this season. Sam Bradford, to me, it's almost like Josh Freeman. It's a make-or-break year. I mean, I'm not sure. I don't think they're ready to move on from him, but this team is definitely. I mean, Jeff Fisher's put them in a position where they should start winning some big-time football games. I mean, look what they did with the 49ers last year. I mean, but it's the defense that interests me the most. They're against the Cardinals, which is a very explosive offense. If they can take off Fitzgerald, I mean, they got Janoris Jenkins, a steal in 2012 draft. as well as Cortland Finnegan. This team is gonna, be really good this year with, amazing pass rushers, linebackers, and I can name them all: Lornice, Ogletree, Robert Quinn, and Chris Long. You'll be surprised if this team takes out the Seahawks and 49ers a couple times this season.
Number 18, you have the New Orleans Saints.
Yeah, the Saints. The reason I haven't decided because of, to me this is too high with Drew Brees, but I like him here because of Drew Brees. I think that offense is definitely going to be as good as it always has been, but it's the defense I'm worried about. They first round pick had Kenny Vaccaro, so that's going to help their secondary, but they lost Will Smith for the year and have not replaced him at the pass rushing position. They have a huge game week 1 against the Falcons, which I do not see them winning. Based on, I just don't know how they're going to be able to stop all those Falcons weapons, as well as I think Steven Jackson is going to have a huge game. So I like him at 18, and I definitely think they're going to be much better with Sean Payton as their head coach again.
17, you have the Miami Dolphins.
Dolphins, I think, might have been a bit overrated during the offseason with all their free agent moves. I like him here. I think they're definitely going to compete for a wild card spot based on the production of what Ryan Tannehill is going to do this season. It's all about Tannehill, what he does in his sophomore year. I think he's going to be very good. The Mike Wallace addition is going to be huge, but the underrated one was Brandon Gibson, who he's actually been looking to the preseason so far. Tough game against Cleveland away, but I think that they're going to be able to do it, pull one out maybe. But again, if they want to get into the division contest, they got to start beating some big teams that they couldn't do last year, like the Patriots. So that's their next step to me.
The only time you should say tough game against Cleveland, and when the word "not" is in between tough or is in between, you know what I'm saying. Cleveland's not good, all right? Number 16, your Super Bowl pick Steelers. You have them ranked outside of the playoffs. Explain, will you?
Yeah, I've been really looking in deep on the Steelers this season, and I did have them as my Super Bowl pick. I'm looking into it a little bit more. I like them here because with Le'Veon Bell gone, I'm not really a big fan of Isaac Redman running game, and this is a ground and pound type offense they're going back to with Todd Haley. Not so sure if it'll adjust well without Bell, who they drafted in the second round to be that prototypical type Todd Haley running back. Ben Roethlisberger has to do a lot again. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to handle the load again, and it comes down to the defense. They got to stay healthy with some older guys, but Jarvis Jones expect him to have a big year, and he might be the difference maker to get the Steelers to that next level.
All right, number 15, you have the Minnesota Vikings.
The Vikings are, they were a playoff team last year, and I think they've done nothing this year but improve. But again, it all rides on Christian Ponder. We all know what Adrian Peterson's going to do. They had 3 first-round picks, 2 first-round picks on defense with Sharif Floyd and Xavier Rhodes. They're building around it. But again, it all comes down to the production of Ponder. If he's just a game manager again and not a big difference maker, really this team is not going to go far. To me, they're a 6 or 7 win team. But I'm riding on Ponder being good, which is why I have them at 15 here. I expect them to be just as good as they were last year because of how good that defense is going to be, as well as they have some new receivers, which I think is going to be much better than last year when Percy went down with Jerome Simpson and Jadarius Wright and guys like that.
All right, 14, you have the New York Giants.
Giants, I'm a big fan of this year. It just all comes down to them staying consistent. They're always hot and cold during the season. They have the receivers, obviously. David Wilson is going to have to take that step there. They have a Sunday night game against the Cowboys in Week 1, which is a huge already game to see what they can do. It's in Dallas, but they're going to have to take that win. I think that Eli Manning's going to, again, has to stay hot throughout the entire season or get hot at the right time, which they seem to do a lot. I think they're here. They're definitely going to compete for the division, but I'm not so sure I like them ahead of the Cowboys or Redskins yet.
All right, 13, nearing the top 10, the Dallas Cowboys.
I don't like them having up here, but from what I've seen, I got to put them here. Going back to the 4-3 for the Cowboys is going to be huge for DeMarcus Ware and Anthony Spencer, who both fit that much better. Sean Lee's got to come back from injuries, and again, obviously, the whole spotlight's on Tony Romo against the Giants. Remember what they did last year in Week 1? They pulled off a big win. So if they can do that again, he has the weapons. Obviously, Dez Bryant's going to be, to me, he's going to have a monster season this year. And but again, it comes down to being clutch in the later games of the year, which they've seen to not be so far. Let's see what they do this season. But I think as of right now, I think they're a playoff contending team for sure, in my opinion.
All right, 12, you have the Chicago Bears.
This is all based on Jay Cutler being a product of the system, Mark Trestman's system. If he can adjust to it, I think they're going to have a huge year. Look what Brandon Marshall did last season. They can continue that, but at the same time progress Alshon Jeffrey and also get Martellus Bennett in it. This is going to be a very good team. They lost Brian Urlacher, but they still have Lance Briggs. It'll be interesting to see what they do against a Bengals team that is a very explosive offense. At the same time, a defense that is a great run stopping with Geno Atkins. I want to see what Jay Cutler does here, limit the turnovers, and go after that weaker Bengals secondary. I think they're at 12 because, I mean, to me, I think they're going to go back to where they were a couple years ago when they went to the NFC Championship game. And it also, Forte, to me, is going to have a huge year.
All right. Number 11, you have the Washington Redskins.
RG3's got to be healthy. If he does, they're still the favorite to me in the NFC East. With Pierre Garçon healthy again, I mean, everybody's healthy. The second leading rusher in the league last year, and Alfred Morris, to me, will not have a slump. I think if RG3's healthy, he's going to be just as good. I don't think the read option is going anywhere, which means RG3 is going to be just as dynamic. But I'm interested to see how much they run him after the injuries. They might be a little more conservative. Still, he's a great pocket passer. Even if they need to do that, he'll still be good. But again, we'll see what the Eagles' defense does, making them uncomfortable or not. If they want to play conservative, make them throw the football from the pocket. Not such a good idea to me. London Fletcher's back for another year. They got Brian Orekwo back. This team's ready to make a big playoff run.
All right, now the top 10, you have the Indianapolis Colts.
Big fan of them this year. Andrew Luck, to me, is going to have a huge season. No sophomore slump for him. Reggie Wayne coming in another year. He's going to be productive. T.Y. Hilton's going to have a breakout season for me. Also, the addition of Ahmad Bradshaw is going to bring some balance to the run game. Finally balance out that offense, as last year was pass heavy like crazy. Andrew Luck's throwing so many times a game. It's just concerning with the defense. They have a good secondary with Vontae Davis, and they also picked up Laurent Landry from the Jets in free agency this offseason. So that's a great pickup, as well as Bjorn Warner, the pass rusher they got in the first round to replace Dwight Freeney. I don't know if they're ready to take out Houston yet, and again, they're at 1 o'clock on Sunday. They're taking on the Oakland Raiders. I think that'll be an easy win, and they'll get off to a good start.
All right, now number 9, you have the New England Patriots.
Could be higher based on they have Tom Brady, but with the weapons that I've seen so far, I'm just not buying it. Kendall Tompkins, however you say his name, is arguably one of the top receiver. Obviously, Danny Amendola you have in the slot. And then Aaron Dobson, I haven't really seen produce that much. They're going to rely on the run game heavily. They face the Bills, which is going to be a pretty good game to me. So week 1, I think they might get. I think they'll get the win, but it's interesting to see what they do, how Tom Brady reacts with these not as good weapons, of course. When Gronk's healthy, I think they're still going to be a deep playoff team, in my opinion. But week 1, I think they'll be all right against Buffalo, but just take advantage of that weak secondary, and I think they'll be all right. And also, Ridley's going to be huge this season.
All right, number 8, you have the Cincinnati Bengals.
The Bengals, I mean, the Hard Knocks team this year that everybody's hyping up. I have them at 8, and even there, it's to me, they're a playoff team. Andy Dalton's gotten them to the playoffs the past 2 years, but he's got to have that it factor. He's got to take his level. He's got to take his talent to the next level. If he can do that, this team's a Super Bowl contending team. They have pieces in every position. Also, want to see in the secondary Dre Kirkpatrick play. I mean, last year they didn't at all. Got a tough matchup at Soldier Field week 1. It's going to be tough to pull that one out, as they were not as good on the road as they were. And again, get those divisional wins as they've struggled to do the past couple of years. I think this team could be a divisional favorite, but not for me right now.
All right. Now you have at number 7 the Green Bay Packers.
Green Bay Packers have, to me, the best quarterback in the league in Aaron Rodgers. But with Eddie Lacy and Jonathan Franklin, it's really going to balance out the offense, which I think is going to be huge, as they have not had a 100-yard rusher since Brandon Jackson a couple years back. It's the defense. The first-round pick Dayton Jones is going to be a very good pass rusher, but they got to stop that read option, which is why this is how their season was ended last year, as they got torched by Colin Kaepernick in that second round. And guess who they face week 1? They're away at San Francisco. It's a huge test to see what they're going to do. I think they're definitely going to contend in the NFC this season. Randall Cobb's going to have a huge year, but again, it all comes down to the defense stopping those mobile quarterbacks, which they've struggled to do. If they can do that, I think this team is back to being a Super Bowl contending team as long as they're healthy.
All right. Number 6, you have the Baltimore Ravens, former Super Bowl champions.
Yeah, the Ravens is 6 based on that they just won the Super Bowl. I mean, they have almost 5 new rookies starting on the defensive side of the football. Huge test Thursday night against Denver. Not sure if they're going to get that win. A really tough and Mile High, looking to get revenge off of that second round loss last season. That really sprung the Ravens up into the Super Bowl after the AFC Championship game, obviously. Joe Flacco, to me, I don't know if he's worth the money he was paid. Ray Rice is going to be huge this year, though. They're really going to have to rely on him after they lost Anquan Bolden to the 49ers. I like him at 6 based on they still recovered very well in the free agency, losing all those pieces. I think Matt Elam and Arthur Brown are 2 very good picks at linebacker and safety, but it's the pass rush that's going to be huge with Ellis Dumervil and Terrell Suggs. They're going to go after Peyton Manning. They're going to create havoc throughout the entire season. I think they're still a very highly touted playoff team.
All right, number 5, you have my Super Bowl pick, the Houston Texans.
Yeah, the Texans are one of the deepest teams in the league. Bringing Ed Reed is only going to help that defense even more. Bring another veteran to go with Jonathan Joseph, so Timmy and Glover Point, of course. I don't know. But I was with J.J. Watt. I mean, he obviously he's one of the best defensive players, if not the best.
You led the league in sacks last year with 20.5.
But the difference to me is going to be Brian Cushing, who they got back from a season-ending injury last year, middle linebacker. He's going to be huge to help that run-stopping defense because that division is very good running-wise with Chris Johnson there, Maurice Jones-Drew, and obviously, Mary Foster's on his own team, but the Texans take on the Chargers on Monday Night Football. I think that's going to be an easy win. I don't think the Chargers are ready to contend with all these new pieces in place. Texans, you have them as your Super Bowl pick. I kind of agree that they're going to contend, and I like them at 5. I definitely think they're going to make a big push. Again, they need that stellar, consistent play from Matt Schaub if they want to take that next step.
All right, now moving down to the 4 left with them before you have the Atlanta Falcons.
All big spots a lot of big moves that they made in the offseason. Steven Jackson's going to be huge. They need that balance on the offensive side. But to me, they're ready to take that next step because of the defense. I think losing Jonathan Abraham but gaining Osi Umenyiora, to me, is a big upgrade. Also, I like the new young secondary. You still have Samuel Asante on the one side, but Desmond Trufant and Robert Alford are going to make a big impact on this team. They were only a couple yards away from getting into the Super Bowl. I expect them to take another step this year, and hopefully Matt Ryan can continue off of last season and not go back to his playoff droughts, his playoff problems that he's had in the past couple of years. I think this team could definitely. I would not be surprised at all to see them in the Super Bowl this year, playing for a Lombardi Trophy.
All right. Number 3 now, you have the Seattle Seahawks, even without Percy Harvin now. Explain.
To me, I like this because of Russell Wilson. I think he's going to take that next step. I really don't see any of these guys having a sophomore slump. Russell Wilson still is on a great team. And to me, yes, they lost Percy Harvin, but they're going to still get this offense always relies on the run game anyway. Marshawn Lynch is still going to have a huge year, which I expect him to take that help the Seahawks get that next step. The defense to me is brand new. There's some brand new pieces as well. Cliff Averill is going to be a huge piece to this puzzle to make a Super Bowl run, as well as I think Bruce Irvin's going to take another step once he comes back from suspension. The secondary obviously still to me the best in the league. I just think that they're ready. They were only a couple plays away from beating the Falcons, getting to the NFC Championship game. They didn't really lose Percy because they never really gained him. They never played with him in the season.
Very true.
They're against the Panthers away at Cam Newton. Let's see what they can do against that read option. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game, honestly, and it's a big test for a playoff contending team. Week 1, I like them definitely to compete for the Super Bowl, but I'm not so sure they're ahead of the 49ers yet.
All right, now number 2, your first AFC team, or your first ranked AFC team, the Denver Broncos and Peyton Manning.
Yeah, this team I think is definitely a Super Bowl favorite. Wes Welker and Demaryius Thomas and Eric Decker probably brings up the best receiving core, arguably, in the league. This defense, though, I'm a bit worried about, but I think with Peyton Manning, he's just got to be better in the playoffs, though. I mean, you've seen what he's done in December and January. He's really struggled. They're going to have to take that next step this year. I like what they did drafting Monty Ball, as well as they still have Noshawn Moreno and Ronnie Hillman. But it's the receivers. The addition of Wes Welker is going to be huge this season. And again, after a fluke play last year, they could have ended up in the Super Bowl as well, maybe beating the Patriots in the AFC Championship game. Who knows? But with the defense, Dominic Rodgers-Cromartie from the Eagles struggled, but I think he's a nice addition to the secondary, as well as Sylvester Williams is really going to help them as they struggled against the run sometimes last year. But the one problem, they lost Von Miller. I don't expect that to be a problem, as their offense is so electric that I don't think they're going to need him. Well, obviously you need Von Miller, but I don't think it's going to be as big as some people are thinking. They still have Sean Phillips as well. Once he comes back, that team's going to be even more dominant. And definitely, to me, one of the top teams in the NFL. And I wouldn't be surprised at all if they won the Super Bowl.
Alright, and now the last team, drum roll please. San Francisco 49ers.
Yeah, I mean, the deepest team to me in the NFL. Look at what they do. I mean, they almost have a Pro Bowler at every position. I mean, that offensive line, everyone forgets to mention Joe Staley, how good he is with that run game. Frank Gore is going to have another very productive year. Colin Kaepernick, to me, is going to take that next step. We only saw him in, I don't even know, I think 10 starts last season. He's healthy. He never takes unnecessary hits. The read option does not seem to be going away, which is to me the difference in this. They're receiving. They lost Michael Crabtree, but they still have one of the best tight ends in the league in Vernon Davis, as well as Anquan Boldin now at receiver. This team is still, to me, a Super Bowl team. I think they're gonna take that next step. They keep coming one up. They keep coming short. But I think this year might be the year. They have a tough matchup against Green Bay Week 1, but I think they can do it. I think the read option I don't think is going away, which I think is definitely gonna make the Packers struggle. They have a tough schedule though. They have to stay consistent, and on defensively, watch out because this team is explosive on every level. And I think that with the new draftee of Eric Reid, they lost to Sean Golden, but that actually might not be as big of a loss as some people think. And so that's going to be that's definitely to me to be a huge addition as well.
All right, so that's going to do it for this edition of the NFL Experts Power Rankings. We'll be back with another Power Rankings next Tuesday. I will be giving my rankings of all 32 teams after Week 1, and also we'll have our playoff video up soon. Tomorrow we'll be doing our wager show. So yeah.
Very cool. See you later.